60% of what we do in Tuam is export. And, what do we do with export? That's not easy either. We try and make it in Tuam and deliver it into sites or into countries cheaper and faster and better than they can do it locally. And them are simple things, but try and do it is another exercise, especially if you manufacture products like ours, if you understand them. They're all bulky containers and they take a lot of space, and you have to design them and develop them with transport in mind. Anyhow, you can see there the list of places we're in the UK. We have recycling, we have Stratford-on-Avon, we have pipe manufacturing, and we have obviously is distribution. Also, we have a manufacturing in Poland. My first trip to Poland was in '98, and at that time, believe me, there wasn't many people going to Poland. I was one of the first to bring Polish workers to the Tuam factory, and it was 2004 we opened the plant. That plant has been very, very successful and has gone from strength to strength. And in Holland we have a sales office, and also in South Africa we've done a joint venture, so we have 50% of a little company doing the same as we do in Tuam in South Africa. So a lot of distance, a lot of space between them. Agriculture, I'm sure you know the different products that we do, and just look up there, this one, the water attenuation tanks. That was the building industry. We were really worked well for us with that one. We were really flying. And then, of course, that bubble burst, and you have to go and reinvent yourself and do something else. So we're still manufacturing the pipes, water troughs. Thanks to God, every water trough in the country, there was concrete got broken. It's an ill wind that doesn't blow someone good. So we sold more troughs the first week in 2011 than we did the whole month in 2010. So that worked all right. We're into recycling. We do this deck and board, which is made from some wood chip or wood flour, and from waste plastic. All that waste plastic is processed in our UK plant. The marine sector, we do floats and macrobies, and then the earthwood product with their material handling, the whole range of storage bins. They'll just give you an idea of the stepping stones to get to GFC, where it is today. And as I said, a lot of things, a lot of steps. And they're all little businesses that you could say that's built up within the company. And right, the headquarters is in Tuam, but there's a lot of people doing an awful lot of good work throughout England, Holland, Poland, South Africa, and especially in Ireland, which is still our best market, great little market, unbelievable, and very, very successful for JFC. And I suppose the one thing that we have done over the years is we've developed a brand, serious brand, and we have transferred that brand to a number of different items. And we don't mind what items we stick in. Ireland in the news, and these are just a few slides that I got put together in the last for our own presentation. We had meetings on the first week in January with all our people in Tuam for 2 or 3 days. And this is just to give them a flavour of what was going on in Ireland. That's what we're looking at. And then you throw the political football and whatever fashion or whatever you want to call it that's going on as well. It's absolutely unbelievable what you're putting up with. We're great to be here at all. What's that? Does anyone know what it is? A big black hole. Where would you say that? Hey? It's in Lanzarote, actually. It is a big black hole, and it's what I would call nowadays a version of an Irish bomb. A big black hole and nothing in it, and nothing coming out of it, just sitting there. And that's exactly what we're putting up with at the moment. So, we're talking about fuel and energy. What is the fuel that we need at the moment? It's cash. And that's the problem that we have in Ireland. This bit of cash, is it going around? Is it flowing from one pocket to another, from one bank to another, from one checkbook to another? That's the hold-up, and that's the problem. And the one thing that we need, and I'm not here on a political mission, believe me, but we need a bit of confidence in what we're doing, because I talked to our bank manager in Tuam, and that was a month ago, and we were discussing my overdraft and different things, and he was on about the last year, and he said last January 12 months, he said we sat down with our people, and we were looking at what we were going to plan, we were setting our budget, what we would do in mortgages and what we would do in deposits. He said we got no mortgages, we got a few. But he said, unbelievable, he said, the targets we set for deposits, we've taken in 10 times what we budgeted for. Now, I don't know if there's a bank manager here tonight. If there was, I'd love to know his version of it. But that was the tune version. So the money is there, it's going into the banks, but I don't know where it's going out. So my story is, where is the cash? Where is it gone? How do we going to get it back? So it's up to you to create new business, and we'll have to get it back. Look at the news. They reckon that 98% of news is negative. And that infests your head and will absolutely drive you mental. Because you will have no confidence, and you will have no interest, and you will be able to do absolutely nothing. And so, turn it off and forget about it. Well, all this bullshit, I call it, being within an agricultural rural setting, was going on with all that. This is what we were doing in JFC. And I suppose the amazing thing is there that, you know, the few quid that we put into this JFC was, when you look at the things that's up there, and what impressed me about Peter's presentation was, he mentioned JFC about 10 times. I said, I said, it wasn't a bad investment after all. Just as well it wasn't in the black hole. And this is what we were doing on the water things, these Severn Trench. We won one contract in the UK for them, that little one there on the left, for 1,000 of them. That deal was worth nearly $1 million to us. That's a serious contract. How long did it take us to get that contract? What do you think? How long were we working on it? 3 years, would you believe? Nearly as long as the other man said, well, you go about looking for, we started up a windmill, it takes 10 years to plan and go that. It took us 3 years to get that, and that took, I don't know, I think we designed it and redesigned. This was probably the first design, that's the smaller one, and this is what they ended up with. Now that was beautiful all that you get. And you know all these trailer things that you see in the journal that we were trying to flog? The deal was they bought 1,000 of these, and we had to buy back 200 of them off them. But that's why there's still plenty left if anyone wants to. Two boys down the door with another book if you want to see. We were launching at the plough match. We launched the rainwater harvesting product, and this was a good one for us. It's new. Water is a very expensive item, and it's getting more expensive every day. And we're into water. That's what we do. Containers. Everything is needed containers. This is the launching of the JFC Awards for 2010 and 11. There's a few good there I got from Peter and Paul. Any of these lads that works in RT, when you're up there with Pat Kelly and formerly Jerry Ryan and all them, they're not short of money, believe me. So he's on a nice retainer there in RT, and he doesn't have to worry about the farm that he has at home. We do a charity golf day. It's good. This year we raised 13,000. Bit disappointing, but traditionally it was good for 20,000, and 1 year we did 30. But we do something again. Sort of, it's our responsibility we feel to do something. We alternate the charity every year and give something. This year just for the guy dogs. Very, very worthy cause. Again, another award, IBEC award. So all these things that we did were very, very important. So we didn't even think about this other negative stuff. We were positive. So the one thing that you have to do going out of this room tonight is go home and be positive. And put all that other stuff that's going on all week and all month and the last 2 years of it, forget about it, put it behind you. And if there is an idea, the spark is here, the finance is here, you're in the right room to make this thing happen. This is our version of green. It's our recycling plant, and this is in Runcorn. Unfortunately, it's not in Ireland. We would love to have had it here. But originally, when we started manufacturing the pipes are made from 100% waste plastic. And we felt that the Irish market was too small, and you needed 25,000 tonnes. We set up a plant to do 25,000 tonnes, as we thought. And 3 years, 12 million later, we're at about 12. Believe me, this was the worst exercise that I probably did in 22 or 23 years in business. We're nearly there. We nearly have it cornered. I made an awful lot of mistakes, and I mean, this was another big black hole. We were pumping money in, borrowing money, and eventually we got it to work right. It's all because the process was wrong. It was, and how would you manage that? We did get grant aid in the UK. We got 1.1 million or something, which was the carrot at the start. That was the carrot that got us into it. And the only thing that saved us was we were manufacturing pipe from the waste material that come out of there. The carrot is here tonight, but believe me, just as Peter said, that's not going to be the end all. It's you have to match that. I think it's a 50-50, and that's important that you know what you're doing and that you're going to get your money back. It's all about return on investment. That's the recycling plant when it was installed. Very, very sophisticated. And what mistake did we make? We put 3 processes in the one building. We put manufacturing pipe, and we put washing HDPE, which is milk bottles, in there, and we also put in it a process for washing PET, which is the glassy bottles that you see on the table. That's PET bottle. And 2 different wash lines and a pipe line. And it was just too much to handle for new people. And the first thing we had to do was take the pipeline out of there, and then we focused on one of these lines that got one to work, and now we're beginning to start to get the other one to work. They would work. The big problem was we couldn't get enough of plastic into them, or we couldn't get enough stuff going through the plant. That's all that was wrong. So for us, I suppose we're constantly targeting new markets and gathering information. And I suppose listening there to, there's a lot of information here tonight. But there's, talk about green and talk about some of these trade shows that's around Europe. There's some huge shows. There's SEMA coming up in February, I think, and there was Eurotiers on in Germany. There's different shows there that's well worth going to. Whatever, if you're looking for ideas, especially if it's these small farming ideas or the energy ideas or whatever it is, there's absolutely massive trade shows out there with oodles and oodles of information. And despite what's going on in Ireland at the moment, flights are cheap, and you can get there relatively cheap enough. And that's where it happens. That's where it's no good going to the RDS to a show like a show. That's what we call it, a trade show. And it's it's only a small little one hall. Go to any of these other places. There's 40 halls. You go walking. You want 3 or 4 days to walk them and bring home the information that you need. Look at the market. Peter went through all that, and I suppose the important thing is, have you got the experience? No. I would say that is, you have to get it. And whether you contribute to books, whether you look it up on Google, if you're getting into a business new that you didn't do before, something you're putting onto your existing firm, you need to know about it. And you need to build up files of information. That's the way we work. We have an awful lot of different things going for us, but they're all different files in a cabinet, and there's someone a specialist in it. And you have to do that. And you have to get that information, and you have to revise it and go back and look at it, store the brochures. That's the way I work, and I think that's the only way. Now you can do oodles and oodles of information from Google, but there's nothing like being understanding talking to someone in France or in Germany, and they'll talk to you, and they know English, and bring home some of the knowledge that they have. Because in a lot of cases, you're not going to be in competition with them, and they're delighted to get you. Get the brochures, bring them home, and look at them, and see what ideas can you get. These boys here have the cash to do the job. It's who is it going to do it? It's you, no other one. Or you have some youngster in your family that you can send off and come back, and that maybe they're going to do it, but so who's going to do it? Partners, that can be good, but again, is that what you want? If you have a partner there, whether it be the wife or not or whatever, she's the real partner, I suppose. But bringing in some other one in a firm, make sure that it's a limited company or it's something separate if you have to, and that it's not going to affect the family firm. And if you're going to invest in it, we take risk in it, but do not tie up the main asset. I would be wise. And maybe, I'm sure, Peter or Paul from Paul McCarthy, he's not here tonight, but he was the expert on that side of it. Again, Peter went through a lot of that stuff. Warren Buffett, I suppose, going into partnership with people, do I like them, and do I trust them, and do I respect them? I suppose if that's down to even the people that you work for, or that you work with, or that works for you, and these things would apply. And they're very, very important things. So unless these 3 boxes are ticked, the deal is off. Forget it. The business plan. Again, Peter to that. You need a business plan. You need some sort of a plan, and it doesn't have to be the 40 pages. And it needs to be yours. And you have to understand it. And you're the one, you have to put your time and energy and effort and thought into putting the